Welcome to the City of Wayne for the council meeting, and Lloyd Allen this evening will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Rowe,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller,
Present.
Councilman Racy,
Here.
Councilman Porter,
Here.
Councilman Sanders,
Present.
Councilman Gabriel,
Present.
Councilman Sutton.
Gentlemen, I request a motion to excuse Councilman Sutton. He texted me at 6:27 this evening and said that he is unable to make tonight's meeting. I have a personal family matter that has come up. I'm sorry for any inconvenience this may cause.
I make that motion. Support.
Moved and supported, Councilman Porter and Councilman Racy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
You do have a quorum with 6 members present. Item 1 is the approval of the agenda.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Porter. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 2, City Council minutes. Item 2A are the regular meeting minutes of June 6th.
Move approval. Support.
Was moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Any corrections, additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 3, bid awards. Item 3A is to approve the bid award for janitorial services at City Hall, Building and Engineering, Public Works, the Museum, and Court. This is to be paid from the City Hall Buildings and Grounds budget, the Building and Engineering, Public Works, Museum, and Court Building Maintenance budget, and this approval will be subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Move approval of highest bidder of STEP of Wayne, Michigan, at the cost of $950 a month.
I think you need lowest.
Did I say
bidder.
lowest bidder? Yeah, highest, that's lowest.
Yeah, okay.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Sanders. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next item is item 4, business licenses and permits. Item 4A is to approve a materials recovery facility license for Red Metals Recycling at 34939 Brush Street.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Gabriel, to approve materials recovery facility license. Is there any discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5, this is the annual appointments to boards, commissions, and committees for a number of boards, commissions, and committees in the city. I would ask that we make a separate motion for each of the persons on each one. A number of them are reappointments. There are some new people. And then also we've got a couple resignations. So the first is item 5A. This is to accept the resignation of Ed McMurray from the Historical Commission.
Move approval of letter.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Mr. McMurray has been a stalwart member of the community. He served on several boards and commissions here, started the Friends Project, and he lost his wife a little over a year ago, and he will be spending a lot of time in Florida, so he just felt it wasn't fair for him to continue on, and this is why he requested to submit his resignation. So he will be sorely missed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Rowe,
Yes,
could we please send him a letter of thanking him for his,
yes, Councilman Sanders included that in the motion.
thank you.
The next item is item 5B. This is to accept the resignation of James Jezerowski from the Planning Commission.
Move approval with letter of thanks.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders and supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion, comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next are a number in item 5C. This is a reappointment of Ron Hayes to the Commission on Aging until July of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been supported by Councilman Sanders. Moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is the reappointment of Helen Braun to the Commission on Aging until July of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next is the reappointment of John Van Stipdonk to the Commission on Aging until July of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next board is the Planning Commission. The reappointment of Patricia Rice to the Planning Commission until July of 2020.
Move to support.
Move approval.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next is Michael Smith to the Planning Commission until July of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Continuing on, the Historical Commission. This is the reappointment of Gloria Rowland to the Historical Commission until July of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the next is Darlene Hawley to the Historical Commission until July of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It was moved by Councilman Racy and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I know that you, Mayor, and the city manager have been having conversations with the commission and the Historic Museum. What happens, just for personal knowledge, what happens if, in fact, we decide to do something different with the Historical Commission or the Historical Society? The Historical Commission generally is a liaison between us and the Historical Museum, but if we choose not, and we choose to give that to the Historical Society or do something, is there a need for a Historical Commission?
I think that would have to be looked at with the city attorney, and she could advise us as to
Okay.
a joint board or a whole new board
Okay,
at that
thank you.
time. Thank you. It was moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next board is the Zoning Board of Appeals. The reappointment of Dennis Hermatz to the Zoning Board of Appeals until July 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next reappointment is Bud Hilliard to the Zoning Board of Appeals until July 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
Support.
It was moved by Councilman Porter and then supported by Councilman Sanders. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, was there any discussion?
And the last for the Zoning Board is Quentin York, the reappointment until July of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item
I have one question. Do we have everybody filled up, even the alternates on the zoning board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Last year, we filled both alternates at the same time, so they had a 3-year appointment.
Okay, thank you.
Item 5D is to accept the appointment of Merle Baum at 38696 Meadow Lawn to the Planning Commission until July 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Raisy, supported by Councilman Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 5E, accept the appointment of Kathy Rockwell at 35432 Courier to the Commission on Aging to fill the unexpired term of Delphine Gardner until July 2020.
Move approval.
Move to
Support.
support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5F is to accept the appointment of John Mills at 34649 Chestnut to the Historical Commission until July 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 5G. This actually is a yearly appointment. This is to accept the reappointment of Mayor Susan M. Rowe as the delegate to the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority.
Move to support.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Gabriel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Me. Kidding. Motion carries.
Should have asked first, right?
Right. Item 5H is to accept the reappointment of City Manager Lisa Nocerini as the alternate delegate to the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority.
Move approval.
Support. Does
It's
she
been-
want it first?
Yeah. Was moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Mayor Rowe,
Yes.
maybe this might be a good time to explain to the audience and viewers at home how these individuals were able to become appointed, how they went ahead and signed up for all these different boards and commissions that we have in the community. Be a
Oh.
good time to kind of refresh
Yeah.
everyone so that everyone does have an opportunity to be involved.
Yes.
I'll let the city clerk answer that.
Thank you.
We do have on our website a location where you can apply to be on a board or commission, and then we create a list. On that application, you also put your interests, where you are interested to serve, and then we kind of go from there. So the appointment of Merle Baum, he filled out the forms and had interest in the planning commission, and I talked to him. I actually interview each person also before we make the appointment to see if they have the interest, they have the knowledge. The planning commission is an important board. He understands plan concept. Also, I have a whole packet of information that I go through with each planning commissioner. It's about actually a couple hours I go through to explain exactly what they'll be doing and their role and responsibility. And then, of course, the next one, Mrs. Rockwell, is always interested in serving and helping the community, and she was glad to do so. And then also, Mr. Mills did fill out the application, and I put his name on the list, and we just kind of go through the list as we go and see their interests. We have about maybe 13, 14 people on the list. Also, if anybody ever applies for, say, there's a council vacancy or people that have run for office and were not elected, I put their name on the list too, because they were interested enough at one point in time, then they can be interested enough to serve. And I go through and try to get the most appropriate person for each board.
Thank you. Good to know. For everyone to know.
The next item is item 6, communications and reports. Item 6A is from the Wayne Historical Society on the 2017 summer and fall programs. And the society has put together an entire list of items coming forward. And what I thought I would do is actually we'll scan this. We'll have copies outside also, and we'll scan this and put it on the city's webpage also. But beginning June 21st through November 9th, they have something, a couple each month. So they'll be very busy providing good and thoughtful programs at the museum, and they're partnering also sometimes at the library too. So,
Could you read the one for tomorrow evening, please, since that will be of interest to people?
yes. Tomorrow, June 21st at 7 o'clock, the Wayne Historical Museum. It's a behind-the-scenes talk about the real mysteries at the DIA. A speaker from the DIA will give a talk and slide presentation called Cows at the Opera and Other Museum Mysteries. So,
It might be worthwhile going, especially since we still have the scavenger hunt going for the DIA Inside Out program that's in the city. So hopefully you have taken part in it and looked at all the various masters reproductions that are up along the various buildings in the community. Thank you.
Mayor Earl?
Yes.
Yes, I totally encourage everybody to check out this program, because I tell you, it's very robust this season. Such a great selection of topics to really learn and enjoy at the Historic Museum. I've been to several of them already this year, and they just keep getting better and better. And people that are there are actually living history of our community. So I myself, I'm a history buff. I think it's very exciting. I hope you'll find it as well. Extremely robust, all kinds of topics and interests about our city.
Thank you.
the next item is item 6B. This is a memo from the engineering manager regarding Unistrut.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. On May 23rd, 2017, Unistrut invited 27 residents and/or property owners to an open house presentation at the Hype Recreation Center from 8 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening till 8 o'clock in the evening. The formal presentation started at 7 p.m. The purpose was to bring awareness to the properties near Unistrut of the movement of trichloroethylene under Wayne Road. Trichloroethylene is a solvent that Unistrut stopped using in 1983. It has not been used there since. Sometime during the use of trichloroethylene, Unistrut's soil was contaminated with trichloroethylene, which is TCE, which over 40 years has now migrated through groundwater east of Wayne Road, and the movement is very slow. So on the screen to your right or left, you'll have Wayne Road right here. This is just south of Michigan Avenue. The railroad track runs along the north part of this slide here, and Clinton Street runs along the south side. Unistrut's building is bound, or property is bound by the railroad, Wayne Road, Clinton, and Elizabeth Street. So this trichloroethylene, which contaminated the soil, is very gradually moving to the east under Wayne Road. Over the last 20 years, Unistrut has been working closely with the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality to monitor the migration of the TCE through the sampling of many strategically placed wells. Unistrut has also placed permeable reactive barriers in the ground to help decontaminate the soil. And those would be those orange lines that you see, 2 on the west side of Wayne Road and 2 on the east side of Wayne Road. What that does is it breaks down the TCE into very low concentrations of ammonia and water, which are harmless. Though the groundwater in this area exceeds MDEQ limits for drinking water, there is no problem at this time to any residents or commercial business. And again, we're trying to compare this to drinking water, but this is really just groundwater. This does not get into our potable water system at all. Councilman Porter, 4 residents of the community, and myself attended the open house and the meeting. 2 of the residents were from the 27 property owners that received an invitation from Unistrut. During the 3-hour meeting, Unistrut, its consultants, and the state of Michigan explained what was being done to protect the nearby owners. The attendees seemed satisfied with explanations and the efforts of Unistrut and the state. Unistrut would still like to reach out to 25 of the 27 residents and/or property owners who did not attend the meeting They are hoping to install more shallow monitoring wells and vapor pens with the property owner's cooperation to gain a complete understanding of the effects and the spread of the contaminated soil. The contact for that, for Unistrut is Andrea Fee Blackberg, and her telephone number is 508-965-1264. Again, 508-965-1264. Unistrut is really hoping to reach out to the people in the brownstone condominiums along Forest and Wayne Road and along Newberry Street and the properties just south of Clinton. The two attendees to this meeting that were residents were, though, from south of Clinton, right in this area here. So, again, for those people in this area, Unistrut would really like to reach out to you and communicate with you. That's about it.
Okay. Mr. Byton, could you explain what the blue dot ND, what that means, and some of those?
The blue
The
dot
log-
means non-detect.
Okay,
And so the areas in blue, which are, you can see them, I think, quite clearly on the slide, meet drinking level criteria. So that's very clean water still. And then you can see the results going up from there with the different colors, red being the worst. And those red dots are located still on Unistrut's property. So DEQ is working carefully with Unistrut. Unistrut is providing results of the monitoring every 6 months. And not only do they provide those reports to the state, but they also provide those results to the city of Wayne. And we have those in the building and engineering department if anybody would ever like to read through those results. But they keep a close eye on this movement.
okay, now you mentioned that Unistrut still wishes to speak to those other 25 property owners, but you've just given us the phone number. Are they going to do any more outreaching on their own to
Yes, they're-
contact those people?
They're actually going to send one of the people that works full-time in this facility across the street to knock on doors.
Okay.
But they're hoping that we can hit it from two angles to really get a lot of good communication. Once this type of material gets within 100 feet of any properties, then the state requires the company with the contamination to make sure people are notified and aware. And if there was any contamination that needed to be mitigated, that would all happen at Unistrut's expense.
Okay. Okay. One more question. You might advise Unistrut that they may have to be working after their normal hours because those residents, I'm sure a lot of them are gainfully employed, so they're not available during the day, so they may have to reach out in the evening or even on a weekend to get a hold of them if
I
they're
will make
personally
sure-
making contact.
I'll make sure they know that.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
My
Ms.
questions are, have they all been received a letter indicating their concerns?
They did. They all of them. Unistrut's talking about having another meeting in the near future, inviting them again, maybe when more word gets out, to try and, they really want to be very transparent with this process and make sure everybody's taken care of.
Over the last 20 years, the progression of the contamination has crossed underneath Wayne Road. Is that my understanding?
That's correct.
Has it also disseminated the level content of the contamination as it spreads and thins out?
There is some,
what I'm
yeah, there is some dilution that happens with movement. And then there's also these barriers that when the material passes, or the TCE passes through those barriers, it breaks it up as well. So there's two things that are at work there.
And what's the depth of it?
I believe the PRBs are 15 feet deep.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Not to create undue hysteria or anything, but, all right, so this has been a 40-year problem. When was the city first notified of this problem?
We've been receiving reports for about the last 10 years.
So 10 years, and has the city council been made abreast of, over the last 10 years about that?
I think that the
First I ever heard of it.
Yeah,
in
interesting.
that general area was when it was on Facebook.
it is my understanding that yes, but when you're saying no, it's hard for me to say yes. So I haven't been in charge of the building and engineering department to know that that information has gotten to you guys or been received by you. But there's been general discussion about it within the city administration. So as a city, we've been aware of it. And again, it hasn't really it hasn't gotten within 100 feet of any property except Jay Armstrong used to own this property right here. And so there was quite a bit of discussion when it was getting to the edge in this area right here on the west edge of Jay Armstrong's property. I thought there would have been discussion back at that time, but I don't know.
So my question, my further question is, when the city, what year were the condominiums? I see that there's blue over there and that sort of stuff, but which means no detect. But when the condominiums were built along, is that Forest Avenue, right? Forest? Mm-hmm. Forest. Was, I guess there has to be soil borings, right? And that sort of thing. And my next question is, my concern is, did we know about it when those condos were being built? Secondly, because that can pose a problem. Secondly, I would assume that for in a housing inspection process, when you sell a house, you have to have inspection when you sell a house and stuff. Is there any sort of inspection, for instance, when the sale of that big piece of property, the former, I call the Armstrong property, when the sale of that property was completed, did there have to be, if they knew about, or not they, I'm not trying to litigate this, but if the present owners were to develop on that property, would Unistrut have to clean that up for them in order to be developable, or is that undevelopable at this point because of what's going on there? I guess there's several questions.
Yes. So anytime a property is sold, especially for development, it has to have a phase one environmental, right? And then if anything's going to be built, if the phase one discovers more than a phase two environmental. So there is a process to make sure that brownstone condominiums weren't built without the proper environmental background. So that part's good. As far as the sale of Jay Armstrong's property, I'm not sure what the
I guess the question is, does that open us as a city up to litigation in the fact that we knew that there might be something going on that property and we didn't disclose it in the sale procedure in which the city's, to the extent that the city's involved in that?
I think that that information was out there, and I think maybe even in the form of I'm gonna get
Maybe I
on
can
shaky ground, so.
Maybe I could help a
Go
little
ahead.
with that.
Thank
All
you.
right. So, actually, regarding Armstrong's property, there actually are easements that are recorded at the Wayne County Register of Deeds that the city is aware of, but we're not a party to. The city did not own the property, does not own Unistrut, obviously. So when the monitoring wells went in place, Mr. Armstrong did own the property, and then also restrictive easements were put on there so that those wells don't get disturbed and that they have the right to gain access to those wells for monitoring. So upon the sale, it was Mr. Armstrong's responsibility and then also the buyer's responsibility to do the phase one and then if necessary phase two, but also those restrictive easements would have shown up in title work when the property transferred.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. We'll move on. Thank you, Mike.
The next item is item 6C. This is a memo from the police chief and a thank you from Crime Stoppers.
Hi, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. This is to request your approval for a $400 donation to Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is a nonprofit organization that assists with our investigations, especially if we have a major incident that happens where we don't have suspects or any information. Crime Stoppers will come in, they'll provide us flyers, they will provide us the avenue for press conferences and things like that. They've been great to work with over the years. This is definitely money well spent. And this is going to be taken from our forfeiture fund, so it's not going to affect anything in our budget.
Okay. All right.
Can we move to support at this time?
It's just receive and file, right?
It's just, yeah, it just re-up because it's from their drug forfeiture.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief.
The next item is item 6D, the May 31st, 2017 Revenue and Expenditure Report.
Receive and file.
The
Thank
next
you.
item is item 7, general items for consideration. Item 7A is to approve the municipal and community credit contract with SMART for the fiscal year 2018.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Are there any questions or concerns? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Phil Wagner. I live on Laurenwood Street. I want to thank Councilman Porter for putting some info on this on Facebook. It seems to me that oftentimes I see the Smart Bus go up and down Michigan Ave with no one on it. And I mean no one. I'm not talking empty like 3 or 4 people. I'm talking like 0 people. It seems, according to the info that Councilman Porter put up, that this is kind of tied in with Nankin Transit, which I think a lot of people do use. But I'm wondering, is there any way to separate the two and then just get out of SMART and maybe save a little money there? There isn't.
There's not a
Would you-
possibility
no.
to do so.
No.
We either opt in or we opt out,
Right.
all the way around.
I got another comment to that. Where the end point of that? So if you're seeing them coming back down Michigan Avenue going east, that's because there may not have been anybody picked up in Wayne, and we're the first couple stops. So it ends at Hannon. So they're going back towards Detroit.
Okay.
Mayor Rowe.
Yes.
We need to find some ways to be able to get the word out, information out on how to utilize this system. I think that maybe we can brainstorm something with the administration page or someone to provide that information out further than just the senior citizens services, to be able to give people the word out on how to go about calling up and getting requesting a ride and what have you. Because I agree, I feel as though that not enough people out there know how or are aware of the availability of it.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I might ask Councilman Racy, do we know how much ridership that on the SMART system that the city of Wayne, are there numbers on that? I know you sit on that committee.
Last year, well, between July 1st and June 1st of 2017, there was 4,144 total trips taken by residents in Wayne.
Is that for Nankin and the SMART, or just?
That's just for Nankin Transit.
Okay, and how about the SMART?
I don't know, I don't sit on the SMART board. I believe that's Al Hayes
Okay.
that sits on that board.
Yeah.
In the millage for that election, the millage for that, opting in or opting out is next year, correct?
It's coming up soon, yes.
Any other questions?
So voting for this is just it's a legal obligation of transferring money that we collect from the millage to them, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
This is.
Yes.
So it's not spending city money per se.
No. It's our agreement to transfer the funds, which
Right.
the next agenda item does include part of that
I know.
also.
I just want people to know.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then.
Is it-
It was moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is item 7B. This is to approve a payment to the Nankin Transit Commission in the amount of $21,000 for the 2017-2018 membership dues to be paid from the fiscal year 17-18 Nankin Transit budget.
Move approval.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Sanders, supported by Councilman Racy. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Just a clerical question. Why do we call it dues when it's an actual millage that we transfer? It's a
I believe our contract, we join as a member to Nankin Transit. Nankin Transit composes of Westland, Garden City, and they're all member communities to it.
so the
it must
dues
be
is
called
just what the
dues.
money that they collect.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
Mayor,
Just
I
Yes, Councilman Racy.
add to that. So it's done by population. So the city of Wayne pays $21,000. The city of Westland pays $89,000. Garden City pays $34,000, and the city of Inkster pays $34,000. So we pay the least amount of the four communities for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 7C, Budget Amendment 2017-11.
Good evening.
Would you like to make a motion, please?
Yes,
to
could
put
we
this
have
on
a
the
motion,
floor?
please?
Support.
Was moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by
Councilman Porter.
Councilman Porter.
Excuse me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Wait, you got it.
Motion carries.
I'm fine to not talk if everybody
Okay,
wants to vote and
okay.
approve.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I thought that
Yes.
was all right.
okay. So you can do your spiel.
Well, this is a required amendment at the end of the year. We do this every year right before the end. According to Public Act 2 of 1968, it's illegal to spend money that hasn't otherwise been appropriated, i.e. budgeted. So we take this last sweep through the trial balance and budget the actual schedules and make our very best educated guesses that we can, even though invoices have not come in yet for services that have already been rendered. Make our best guess as to what is necessary in order for the budget to be balanced. So that's what's before you. It's really just a cleanup procedural event at the end of the year. Nothing significant really is in it. It's all pretty straightforward.
Okay. And our bottom line would be?
Your bottom line gets, for the fiscal year ended June 30, 17, gets $30,000 worse in general fund. Not really any one thing. There's a couple in here. I mean, obviously there's less SAFER grant revenue because we haven't filled all the SAFER spots. There is the $100,000 grant revenue and expenditure for ball field improvements. We have less tax tribunal refunds than had been budgeted, less DPW expenses, but at the same time, there was less revenue that came in. The number one item being MMRMA's annual refund. So it's $132,000 less than the last couple of years. It's one of those things you just don't know what it is until it comes in, and it's not absolutely mandatory that MMRMA make any kind of refund, so we're just kind of happy we get whatever we get come the end of the year. And that's really it. The major local street amendment is just about moving the local tax or the street millage that you have. We had originally budgeted it to go into the local streets fund, but we're moving it to the major streets fund because that's where the project is that we want to spend the money on, or the city wants to spend the money on. And then there's just some additional Act 51 revenue that came in over and above the original estimate.
Okay. And our fund balance will end up being 703,000?
Yes, although I expect it to be better than that once the final numbers are in.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, any questions for Brian? No?
My question is.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, is, so what is our deficit to carry over to tackle next year?
Well, you're carrying over fund balance of the $700,000 that the mayor referenced, but the budget is still, so suggested it's going to be about $500,000. Now it's $500,000 plus 30 in the hole for 2018.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is item 7D. This is to approve a professional services agreement with Stantec for an amount not to exceed $39,500 to provide for the operation and maintenance services of the EQ Basin and the Stormwater Management Service for a period commencing on July 1st, 2017, ending June 30th, 2018, to be paid from the water and sewer budget.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Racy. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know that Stantec, generally speaking, is the only horse in town for the most part in these kinds of things. But is it the only horse in town? Because I know that we had discussion last time, the same year, the same time last year, as far as the exorbitant cost. I know that it comes out of water and sewer. I know it doesn't affect our general fund, and I know that it's a penny wise, pound foolish issue that we should be doing, and when it's required to do. But have we been researching in the last year about other companies that might do it at a equally as effective and a better pricing?
We have done our best to keep the cost with Stantec where they're at. Over the past years, actually had reduction with them. Because they've built the system, they designed the system and then inspected the system as it went in, and they've been helping us operate it over the 20 years from the equalization basin portion of it. And they also have a very good understanding of our stormwater system because they've done the outfall surveys at 5-year intervals for us, and they have that all mapped out on the GIS. They really are very intimate with this, and so we feel that as long as we continue to keep the price tight with them, that's our best option. So no, have we looked outside of that yet? Not at this point. We feel like they're providing a very good service for us. We have a pretty good understanding of what's necessary for them to do that work, and we feel like their costs are appropriate.
I guess my next question is, to go along with that, I appreciate that explanation, and I wouldn't disagree with you. Have we gone out to see, just so we know if their pricing is commensurate with other companies, without even, we don't have to do necessarily a bid price, but have we decided that other companies wouldn't be that much, generally speaking, much lower?
I think
I
we
would hate
know.
to be stuck with a company or anybody for the sake of just because they're intimate to the system, because that would suggest that people who are also in the business, other companies, can't get acclimated or intimate to the system just because they are not intimate to our system.
Right. The equalization basin is quite unique.
Yep.
So trying to engage people to look at that system, and we know what that system is. We know what the services are. It would take an effort to try and bring some people on and work with them to help them understand the system so that they could even give us an estimate on it. If it's the council's desire for us to pursue that, we sure could do that.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I just
I
know that
would-
many other cities have the same equalized basin because it was a federal mandate.
It is a federal mandate to separate to not have sewer overflows. People are achieving that in different ways.
Okay.
There aren't a lot of the equalization basins there are some, but.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just wanted to.
Possibly if you could check with maybe some of the other communities that you know of that have these equalization basins, what companies they use.
I appreciate
And
it.
just have an idea of what's out there,
Sure,
okay?
we can do that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
That's exactly what I was leading to, is what other communities around us are currently using Stantec as well.
Okay, I can look into that.
Okay, thank you. The one thing I would say, having them there, with, the city's financial issues, we've lost people who have all of this knowledge. I mean, we're lucky we still have Mike, but, a lot of other people have gone and either
appreciate
retired
that.
or moved. And so, right now, I think that with this being such an important issue, having Stantec right now, at least they have that knowledge there,
I
So,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Okay, next item.
It was not voted on.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't vote on it. I'm sorry. All in favor of Stantec?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next item is item 7E. This is to approve traffic control order 614 for a no parking, stopping, or standing sign, 2 of them to be placed along the east side of the parking lot in Gaudy Park here at City Hall.
To approve. Support.
Okay. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council again. tonight I bring to you, I think a lot of you have noticed over the past several months, if not longer than that, a lot of vehicles are pulling into City Hall parking lot right directly behind you, and either parking, standing, or stopping, whatever may have you, along that east curb line right adjacent to the park there. That creates issues for traffic flow, especially if there are two vehicles trying to get through there, trying to exit the parking lot or park. There's plenty of parking spots in our lot that aren't being utilized. Currently, right now, we don't have any signage there for us to be able to enforce any sort of parking regulations at this time. So adding these two signs would not only tell the the visitors here to our park that they cannot park there, to park in the parking lot, and it'll give us some enforcement action also.
Yes.
If I can ask the chief, could we, because, I'm not a big advocate of interrupting green space and, I know there's only two signs, but we have several other signs in that same, along that same area. Can we achieve the same thing through, or legally achieve the same thing through, say, painted on the actual drive right there, like no standing, no stopping, that kind of a thing? So therefore it's not interfering in the...
You know what, I had the same concern, and I was actually looking at the smaller no parking sign, but where we would have issues is that, people claim, well, I'm not parking there, I'm just stopping, I'm just standing there waiting and things like that. So we want to make sure it's direct as possible so there's no confusion. That can also lead to confusion there on the roadway also, parking there. I really don't recommend painting there. As far as the curb, there would have to be some sort of identification there, for us. So I think this is the only way we can go right now.
Thank you.
Plus, we make the signs here, correct?
Right, correct, yeah.
All right. Okay. It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Gabriel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Chief.
The next item is added item 7F. This is to approve a subcontract agreement with the Conference of Western Wayne to provide for youth services in the city.
What's the wish of council?
Move to approve, but could we have
Well,
some?
you'll have to, yeah. Okay, it's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Okay, Councilman Porter supported. All right, is Barb here? City Manager, would you?
Sure. I thought you were going to take this one, Mayor. You got
No.
CWW on the brain.
No.
Okay. This is an agreement with the Conference of Western Wayne, and this is a grant that the city receives for youth services, specifically an agreement to provide delinquency prevention services for the youth assistance programs for at-risk youth. So communities in the that do offer this in the 18 Western Wayne communities do receive this funding. Mary, I believe this is the 1/10 mil as well.
Yes,
this
it
is
is.
out of the
Yes.
1/10 mil. And this contract is for a term of from April 1st, 2017 through September 30th of 2019.
Okay.
So this is a contract then that is just, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
This is a contract that is just receiving the grant as part of the Western Wayne County, correct?
Yes.
Not a contract with a particular,
No,
Okay.
no,
That's
no.
correct.
thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is added item 7G. This is to approve a professional service agreement with Otten West to Wheel and Shank for additional legal services for retiree health care.
Move approval.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Sanders. And I'll turn it over to the city attorney for a brief explanation.
I think it'd be more appropriate for maybe the city manager, since she
Okay.
was on the call with Otten West, and then I can supplement with any follow-up questions.
Certainly.
Just as a preliminary, I did review the agreement when it was provided to me. It's a standard retainer agreement. I think what's important to note about the agreement itself is that there is no retainer required, so we're not providing any upfront money for the legal services themselves. We will be billed, on a monthly basis and due for any services as they are provided and as they are needed.
Okay.
And there's no obligation to continue this beyond what's needed for any anticipated fees associated with any actions that may be filed in circuit court.
Okay.
Thank you, Brita. I appreciate that. Through the mayor, through the chair. The reason we are asking for council's approval of Ottenweiss Wheelshank PLC is about 2 weeks ago, as you know, the city of Wayne received notification from the Retiree Association attorney that they were going to be submitting an injunction against the stipend. There has been, in the last several hours, they did file a motion with Wayne County Circuit Court, although we have not received notification formally yet. The reason that we need to bring on a firm quickly is because this particular firm, we looked at some different options. This particular firm is not going to basically take our left arm off as far as cost, but we need, our city attorney does not do this, does not deal in this area, and our labor attorney does not deal in the area of Center for Medicare and Medicaid regulations. This firm particularly specializes, one of their staff members specializes in that area. And one of the biggest issues that could come up in this case, should the injunction go through, or should the motion, we end up in court, is the fact that we're going to have an opinion from a qualified attorney firm with regards to those regulations and, violations or anything else that we may need to know. Gary King was adamant that we get this on board soon because when the city does receive the paperwork, it's a matter of days before we have to show in court. So this is a little bit different than the normal process, but we do not have time to put on RFP with the fast pace of this process when it comes to injunctions. So I appreciate your consideration this evening, and I hope that provides explanation.
You might want to give just a little background on how we did choose this firm to begin with.
Oh, I stated that we did have to look at a couple of different firms, and this firm seemed to be in the best price range, and they did seem to have, as far as the qualifications, and looking back at some of the legal, I don't want to call them battles, but legal opinions they've had to have participated in with others that have gone through this particular situation with retiree health care. They seem to show the most background when it comes to this particular item in this issue.
Okay.
Madam
And
Mayor?
would be, one moment. Would we be getting a partner or one of the associates? Do you know?
We will be getting one of the associates, Stephanie.
Okay, so that would be
$150 per hour. We don't suspect that, honestly, this is going to be something that, we don't suspect that it's going to be more than, I think $1,000 is actually going to be a lot.
Okay.
So I don't think we're going to even be reaching that amount, because it's really going to take just a matter of a couple hours to put this opinion together.
Okay.
And maybe for purposes of explaining better, Gary King then would still be the lead in responding to the actual motion itself.
Thank you,
He
correct.
just needs their expertise with regard to that particular issue. So he'd be more consulting with them as to these specific regulations. But the drafting and response to the motion itself, which is the largest part, I think, of responding to a motion for an injunction, would be still done by Gary King.
Okay.
Correct.
So they would just be for consultation purposes and providing a very unique opinion that Gary King is going to use then in support of whatever response he may draft.
Okay.
I would agree with Lisa in the sense that motions for injunctive relief are typically motions that are filed and heard on a very quick basis. So with regard to the necessity to act, I would agree that it needs to be acted on quickly. And I would also agree that these types of regulations, the CMS regulations, is a very, very unique
It's complicated.
area of law that's very complicated, and there are certain attorneys that specialize in it. And they do that for a reason, because it's complicated and unique.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks,
Okay.
Bria.
Yes, Councilman Sanders?
And this is one of the, if I'm not mistaken, this is one of the law firms that applied to be city manager as well, or not city manager, I'm sorry, city attorney, correct? So we have
Yes.
experience
Yeah.
at, all right, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Osborne, City of Wayne, on one of your streets. How long is this, how much is this going to cost? And for how long? Just on the other page, with Zantec, you had professional service agreement, you have a dollar price, and you have a specific date, beginning and ending. I'd like a beginning and ending, and how much dollar value you're paying this. It's the same one, says professional service agreement.
As was stated, we would be getting an associate, which charges $150 an hour.
Doesn't
and-
say that here. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm stating what we have received, $150 an hour. And it's going to depend on the case. I mean, a lawsuit is a lawsuit, an injunction is an injunction. Hopefully, though, as the city manager stated, we do not feel this would go over $1,000, but to put a timeline on it and a figure, she'll be reporting back to us, of course, but we really don't know.
I hope we can put a ceiling limit on it, or at least reporting back via this document. Every time you spend some money, you're $150. Is that within reason? Did you accept it within reason? $150 is all right?
For an attorney,
Okay.
what's this specialization?
I just
Yes.
don't want to see this being prolonged, because you can go from one court to another court. So I just don't want it being prolonged, and then we're going to end up owing this company a lot of money. And I think we should, if we can put Sandtex dollar value, you can put that dollar value of what you were going to pay them in the public document. Thank you very much.
I hope it doesn't go long either. Thank you
Madam
very
Mayor.
much. I appreciate it. Yes.
If I might, I'm sorry, if I might ask another question of the city attorney or city manager or you. This company is just to get us through the initial motion of injunctory, right? Then our labor attorney will take over, correct?
That's correct.
That's what I
They're
thought.
they're just actually going to put it together an opinion.
Because they're not going to be our chief.
No,
All right, that's what I
not
thought.
at all, not at all.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item are citizens' comments or requests on items not on the agenda.
I would just like to remind everyone to please state your name and at least your street, and then 3 minutes you are allocated. And I would appreciate no personal attacks, innuendo.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Vern Amos. I live on Stellwagen here in Wayne. I'm also a member of the Wayne Neighborhood Watch Patrol, and I'm here to ask again tonight for people to please turn their porch lights on. It does aid in keeping down crime and helps us identify suspicious activity in your neighborhoods. I also would like to ask if there's anyone in the city of Wayne that would like to help take their neighborhoods back, to please contact Brian at Icon Computer. We can use the help. Summer's here, school's out, and apparently there's a lot of kids that are not pertaining to the curfew. At 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, they're still roaming the streets. That doesn't mean they're all here from Wayne, but, you know, we are seeing them out there, and it makes the job a lot harder. So if there's anybody interested, please contact Brian, get the rules and regulations of being part of our group, and I hope you would take the time and join.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the work of the Neighborhood Watch Group. Yes, Mr. Allen.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Lloyd Allen, I'm Ward 3, Precinct 3, City of Wayne. And tonight I just want to say a few words about the unprovoked assault on the character of my city manager here. I have not heard so much BS in a very long time. It's inconceivable to me that after somebody threatens her job, that same somebody is the only one that heard all these things. That's inconceivable to me. But let's take a look at this city manager. I've been in this town over 50 years. I've seen a bunch of city managers come and go. Some good, some not so good. First of all, we got to understand this. She is the cheapest city manager we've had in a very long time because she doesn't get any benefits, just her pay. I never heard the word grant before she got here. Okay, just one grant 2 months ago, we're talking about $340,000. That pays her wages for 3.5 years. I don't think you can do a better job than that. It just discourages the hell out of me because she won't kiss somebody's ring, that infuriates me. I'm tired of coming to these council meetings, and we don't get to the city's business. We have to see what the puppet master wants tonight. We got to get away from that. And I tell you this, I'm a cancer survivor, so I know this, you can't cure it. You got to cut it out. The only question I have left is, can we wait to 18 to cut this piece of cancer off this city council? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Anyone else? Yes.
Len Fisher, Winifred Street in Wayne. Thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to start off by saying that I've been appalled, offended, and angered and frustrated by the behavior of members of this council of late. Tonight, I'd like to address the comments that were made during the last council's comment section of the last meeting. The behavior of one councilman was offensive, inappropriate, and inexcusable. To begin by saying, quote, "Although I am not one who likes to air dirty laundry in the public square," unquote, should have been an indication to leadership to discontinue allowing the comments. This council person went on and on and on, publicly berating a city employee. This was unprofessional and inappropriate. If there are truly legitimate concerns, this council person could have printed them out and submitted them on paper to the council for their review. He didn't. When mentioned that private messages were turned over to him, he should have turned them over to the council as a whole if he was concerned. He didn't. When he offered to shine a spotlight on the, quote, true character, unquote, of the city manager, he should have been shut down at that point. It was obvious to anyone listening that a character assassination would follow. This appeared to this observer as an opportunity to publicly ridicule this employee. This went on for over 6 minutes. It's time that the citizens of this town say enough is enough. If council members are unable or unwilling to show up to a meeting and perform the jobs to which they were elected, then it's time to step down. If council members are unable to control their behavior in public forums or in neighboring communities representing our city, it's time to step down. Wayne has much bigger problems than hurt feelings. If the city manager's performance is in question, then take the appropriate steps to review her performance. Form a review board. Make a request of council to review the contract. Don't use the council forum as a platform to air personal grievances. Furthermore, private messages that may or may not be authentic are not grounds for dismissal. Private means they were meant to be private. It is a serious issue when council members do not understand how to behave in a public forum. It is a serious issue when the meeting time is taken up with frivolous discussion. We need leaders who will conduct themselves professionally with poise and dignity. If our current elected officials are unable to meet these qualifications, then please step down and make room for true leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Yes, Mr. Blackwell?
Well, the gentleman just, I was going to stand
Your
up.
name,
and
please?
Mark Blackwell.
Thank you.
Through the chair to Councilman Sanders.
Please, I said no direct.
No, it's nothing, no personal attack. I was just going to ask the councilman if he would be willing to submit those messages to council like the previous speaker stated, and let council handle that internally and take whatever appropriate actions necessary. I'm not trying to belabor the point, and I was going to ask Mr. Sanders, if I may respectfully, through the chair, Councilman Sanders, at the last meeting you made a comment, several comments, I guess. Yes or no, was one of those comments about me, sir? If you can answer yes or no.
By council rules, I'm not allowed to directly.
Okay,
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay.
He answered you. He will speak
Okay.
with you after the meeting.
Okay, well, Mayor, I guess could council make a formal request of Councilman Sanders to submit those things? Because I just want to make sure there's some meat there, actual facts in writing or whatever, and have council review it, instead of going on and belaboring this thing, meeting after meeting.
We have been told that this is a civil matter. We have no control over it. We have no recourse other than to just go on with our business.
Well, I think that the comments, whatever was shared, those people that it involved, those people should be involved also. So if they want to, utilize the option of litigating that as well,
That is up to them to
And another
proceed.
thing, the street light on corner of Haroon and 4th by my house, it's been on for 2 weeks now, all the time. I don't know if it's on the schedule I know it was replaced once,
Okay.
but with just the regular, I don't know, halogen or whatever they call it, if that's on the schedule to be replaced with an LED light.
Okay, Haroon Court and what?
Haroon and 4th.
And 4th, okay.
Yeah. And I did not contact DTE because trying to get a hold of them to, I'd rather go to the dentist without Novocaine.
Okay. Okay.
So, thank you.
We have the DPW manager here, so he's taken the information down and he will look into it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Jacob Johnson, Greenbush. I am here as chairman of the Stonewall for Revolution Metro Detroit, and I want to thank you, the city of Wayne, for honoring LGBT Pride Month this month with your resolution at the last council meeting. As a citizen of this community, as an openly LGBT person living in the city of Wayne, I am happy to see that the administration is truly honoring the people, pride, and progress of the city of Wayne. So I just want to say thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You look very dapper this evening.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Oh, okay.
The next.
I'll rip my pants, sorry. Jeff Wild, Newburgh. This private message scandal, it started with text messages, went into Facebook messengers, whatever it is. I want to remind you guys got elected to do a task, okay? And if it's to fight like brother and sister, okay, that's not what it was. You didn't swear an oath to nitpick each other and try and tear each other down. I know there was a certain councilman that after SMORSA failed and we pushed forth a new budget, said that he looked forward to being a council person during this trying fiscal time, okay? Since then, all he has done has caused strife to the council, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, to the people, okay? If that's what it's about, like I said, don't compel the individual to come here. He can just stay at home, okay? And the Cheers job is to run the council meeting, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's it, right? That's your main goal. To talk tough to the citizens about calling individuals out who are misrepresenting them while you allow the 6 minutes of verbal attacks on a city employee tells us that the meeting's out of your hands at that point, okay?
Okay.
So, Mayor Rowe, please stand tough, okay?
Thank you.
Do the job that you got elected to, that you wanted to do, and crack the whip on these guys, okay? We're
Thank
your
you.
friends out here,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. And the city manager, we've had a revolving door at that position for the last 6 or 7 years. It's either been bad people or people that got to look at it and said, I want nothing to do with this, and split. Lisa stuck it out, and she's moving us forward, and it seems like some personal agendas are trying to derail that movement. And I just want to tell you, I'm glad you're here. I know I asked you to take the job, and I've since apologized for that. But you're doing a good job in my eyes, and thanks, Lisa.
Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, Debbie Seidman-Stricker Browning. And I would just like to say thank you to the council members who have been sitting up here and been very respectful to the citizens who have been talking. It's very disheartening to sit and watch a council person, especially one that should be listening, who's doodling and reading papers instead of paying attention to the meeting. So I would just like to commend the rest of you for being professional and respectful to the citizens who put you in office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Browning. Anyone else? No?
Hello, Lenny Powell. I live on Howell.
Mhm.
Tomorrow night I have a fundraiser for the firefighters. So all you gotta do it's actually all day tomorrow.
Okay.
It's in Westland at the Buffalo Wild Wings on Wayne Road.
Oh, okay.
You go there, you enjoy your meal, they get 20%. I do have stuff planned for the police department too. It's just coming. The next thing is your farmer's market. They got canceled in Gaudi's now at Beaumont. I went last week. You guys need to go and see all the fresh fruit from Eastern Market and that and everything. They got salads and pitas and everything out there for you. And then last is one of my vendor shows is coming up this Saturday. It'll be at Atwood Park from 12 to 5, and we'll have about 40 to 50 vendors. I've asked the fire to be there, the police to be there. Some of the concepts is to get the kids to where they're not afraid of the firefighters, they're not afraid of the police officers. And also, we're gonna have a food truck out there, I promise.
Okay. One question, Mr. Powell. For the Buffalo Wild Wings, do we just go in and just tell them we're purchasing for?
We actually have a flyer.
Okay.
Lisa put some flyers out there, or they can print it right offline and hand it to their server. When they hand it to them, they will attach it to their bill.
Okay. And is that on the city's website, or do we have to go to Buffalo Wild
That's
Wings?
on the city's website.
On the thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Powell. Yes.
What time is that from?
That's all day long.
All day long.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Move the agenda, please.
Next item is item 8, items for the next agenda.
Are there any items for the next agenda? I had a phone call today from the Commissioner Al Haydes regarding the resolution that I had forwarded to all of you regarding the hazardous wastes. And he asked if we could possibly put that on our council meeting and also pass the resolution as well. So, okay, so if the city clerk, city manager would please put that on the next agenda. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Is it possible for us to have a discussion regarding the solar energy for the Hype Center? I know that was presented to us some weeks ago.
City manager, would you wait to talk about that now?
I would respectfully ask that the council hold off until we look at the future of the facility. And the reason that I say that is because I'm very concerned about liability, having to take over these solar panels and things like that. And as you know, it's been no secret that we're working with Hype to try to sell the building to them. And I think it would probably play better if I may respectfully ask. Certainly it's up to the council, but just in my opinion, I really think it would be a good idea for us to hold off on engaging in that solar panel discussion until we find out the future of that building.
Okay. And you have been talking to Ali?
I have. I had a long meeting with him today about that, so we'll have more to report. But I just think that some of the things just put up some red flags with regards to who's going to accept responsibility and liability if Hype is not there. Okay. We did talk about that.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I tend to agree with the city manager. However, didn't the gentleman who's putting in the things discuss that, that they would pick it up at no charge though, right?
No, not that I recall.
We can look back. I'll look back at that, though, to just
Mayor
clarify.
Rowe?
Yes.
Also, while we're on this for the next agenda, this is just a reminder that the meeting will be held Wednesday, July 5th at 8 o'clock. Next Tuesday is July 4th, so the council passed a resolution a number of months ago to move the meeting to the next day, which will be Wednesday, July 5th at 8 o'clock. So.
All right, thank you.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
With all due respect, if you could provide me some information to have better understanding as why you came to that decision regarding the hypes. I would greatly appreciate that.
Oh, of course, I'd be happy to, Mayor Pro Tem, absolutely.
If you could put that in your weekly report to us.
Yes, I will.
I
Of course.
appreciate that very
Sure,
much.
not a problem.
Thank
Have a
you.
better understanding of where
Yeah,
you're
no,
coming
not a
from on that.
problem. Not a problem at all.
All right, then.
Mayor?
Yes.
Maybe not for items on the agenda, but we've had a lot of conversation in the last week about recycling, and I know a lot of the citizens want it, but I think we need to present some of the facts that we've dug out, how much it'll cost us as a city. And I'd like to have that presented somehow, maybe next meeting, just a presentation on it.
Okay.
That's possible?
Mayor?
Yes.
I was actually going to ask if I could just give a quick rundown, because it's been a hot topic during my
Sure.
report.
Okay.
That would be all right?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Can
right.
I,
We'll skip that then.
Okay. All right, then.
The next item is item 9, consent calendar. There are 3 items before you.
move without exception, but I have move with an exception.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, it was moved by Councilman Sanders and supported by Councilman Porter. And discussion?
Yes. These are FOIA-able, correct?
Yeah.
Minutes?
Yeah.
There is a gentleman's phone number, personal cell phone, in the Wayne Historical Commission's, can we redact that? Are we able to redact that?
In the event that this was FOIA'd, there are certain exemptions under FOIA that our office reviews. So prior to it being released pursuant to FOIA, that would be information that would be redacted.
Okay, great.
However, I don't know if this has been already placed on the city website, so that would be my only concern. But if someone were to request this document under FOIA, our office reviews FOIAs for exemptions, and that would be information that we would have redacted prior to releasing it.
As Mr. McMurray has also resigned from the Wayne Historical Commission, I think that if we just black that out,
Thank you.
since, he is not a member anymore. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, it's been moved and supported by Councilman Sanders and then by Councilman Porter with the one redaction of Mr. McMurray's cell phone number. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And now,
Next item is item 10, city manager's report.
yes, city manager.
Thank you. I'll start with the topic that Councilman Porter brought up, and I had just sent the council just some information today, but I'm glad you asked, because I was hoping that I could have a chance to talk about this a little bit. Recycling, certainly, I'm a recycler in my community. We pay a little bit, but there are a couple items that I wanted to share with those individuals who've been talking on Facebook and kind of just what's been going on. Ed Queen, who is the Assistant Director of the Department of Public Works, and I have been looking at this extensively for some time and looking at our options. And I realize that there are grants out there, and I've been looking at these grants for years. In fact, I helped the city of Wayne apply for a grant back in 2013 when I was contracting through the Winchester Consulting Group. And that was when Bob English was here. And we were trying to create a program with Garden City. And the biggest hang-up that happened with that state grant was when the state asked us, okay, great, we'll give you money to buy the receptacles, we'll give you money to promote and market it, but how are you going to pay for it after that? And at the time, we didn't have, the city did not have an answer for that because it was not included, as something that was a priority. So that would have been money that would have had to come out of the general fund. So Mr. English at the time I believe he had just stated, we just really didn't have an option at that point. The most of the grants that are out there, like I said, require also match dollars. Most of them require anywhere from 25%, which is some of the state grants that were just released, and some require 100% match to match or dollar for dollar. Recycling in Wayne, just to give you an idea of the amount of money that it would potentially cost. Ed and I looked at some of the RFPs that came back to us a couple of years ago with trash hauling, because what we did is we basically asked for an a la carte option. So what we did was add recycling, we added curb, leaf pickup, all these different items to see what the cost would come out to. And I guess the best number that we could come up with regards to what would be the closest to what we could, look at, is there are currently 5,920 homes in Wayne that have their trash picked up by Republic Waste. A 95-gallon recycling cart at a minimum, and we went with the minimum price, is approximately $65. That would cost us about $384,800 just for the recycling carts that we would have to purchase. If we were to ask for a grant, our 25% match minimum would be about $96,200. If we were going to have weekly pickup for 5,920 homes, it'd be about $406,000. And if we were going to do every other week pickup for 5,920 homes, it would be $300,000. That's a lot of money. The city doesn't currently have the funding for the match component. Mills could certainly be levied by a ballot initiative, but the minimum that we could do is probably I think we agreed it was about 2 mills. And that's not taking into consideration that the costs could go up. So I certainly am open to hearing, and I hope that if you want to talk about this at a future meeting, certainly open to looking into this further, answering any questions. But I just wanted to give sort of a baseline number of what it would cost the city to implement a program like this. It's a great idea, but at this time, I think we have a lot more pressing needs. Right now, I'm working with my colleague Fred and the chief. We're working on a COPS grant right now. We are asking for 2 police officers. I'm working on an MMRMA grant for the court for reimbursement for tasers. The Bicycle Club, I just wrote not a grant, but the Michigan Municipal League has a excellence award that is the most prestigious award they give statewide to one community. And Brian Ivanchu, who is the founder of the Wayne Bicycle Club, and myself came up with a project because we're trying to put a lot of facets together between the city and this bicycle club with regards to bike lanes and other options. And we were chosen as one of the, I think, about 20 finalists. So voting online, I'll be asking everybody to vote online for this project. It's going to take us to get to the next level, to the Final Four. Sounds like the NCAA. But the voting will start June 30th and it'll go through July 30th. So we're going to depend on everybody in here to really, the city to really gather around this project and vote every 24 hours to get us into the Final Four. This could really open up a lot of opportunities for us for bike lanes and other options and really showcase the city both statewide and nationally, because this award definitely gets a lot of attention. So I'm really proud of, I thank Brian at Icon Computers for opening this up to partner with us on it. Last week, Deputy Chief Gilsdorf and myself received a $1,000 donation from a supplier that supplies to Ford Antolin Grupo out of Canton Township. Mark Laurie came in last week and he presented the check to the Deputy Chief. We are in the middle of waiting to find out if we're going to get a grant through the Assistance to Firefighters grant for a new ambulance. We have a 5% match. They wanted to help any way they could, and they also said if we don't end up getting the ambulance, please use the $1,000 towards equipment and other costs at the fire department. So I just want to thank Antolin Grupo for that $1,000 donation. It doesn't seem like much, but it certainly goes a long way when you're in tough fiscal times. As Lenny said, Buffalo Wild Wings, we have flyers out in the vestibule. Pick one up. Please do what you can. 20% goes back to our fire department, which I think is great. And then if I could ask, if you are on Facebook, if you could follow the city's Facebook page. It also links to our website. I'm constantly posting on their events, opportunities, sharing. If there's anything out there that you know of, send me a message. A lot of you know to do that. I am more than willing to utilize that page for marketing. If you are a business owner, I remind you, out in the front on the right-hand side of the vestibule, this is a marketing mecca for a city. You can get so much free marketing and PR in this building with all the traffic that we have. Please put your flyers out there. There is a business section for flyers for businesses to promote everything that they're trying to accomplish. So we are your partner in this. And if I could just, ask everybody, on Saturday after the awesome fire barbecue, which I had a lot of fun at, we probably too much. I had asked Councilman Racy, he was still there. I asked him if he could come back with me because before I left the building, I was working. Gowdy Park was a mess. And I know that there's a lot of traffic and there's a lot of people, but unfortunately people do not use the garbage cans. So we spent about an hour cleaning up the park and picking up trash. And if I could just ask the residents, I realize that we have a DPW crew, but they're a skeleton crew. They do the best that they can. If you're out and about walking your dog or just taking a walk, bring a little bag with you. If you could help us pick up the parks, we all need to pitch in. I really, really would appreciate it. We did have people thanking us over at the park. I wish they had got up and helped a little bit, but every little bit counts, and we're all in this together. So I do appreciate everybody stepping up, and I do know that we do get a lot of residents who send me pictures who said, "Hey, I took care of my park today," and I can't tell you, that just makes my day. That's a wonderful thing to wake up to. So I'm sorry this was a little long-winded, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The next item are comments from members of the city council, and also in accordance with the rules that the city council did adopt, I do want to remind you that the council did adopt that you also get 3 minutes, and I will be timing also. And I'll have a trap door that you don't know about. All right.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'll start with Councilman Sanders.
Nothing.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to talk real quick here about Families Against Narcotics. They are going to do a meeting, a one-time meeting in our community. It's going to be set for July 26th at 6 p.m. at the Hype Athletic Center. I'm very excited for them to come here to our community because I know everybody has been touched one way or another with a family member, your spouse, your children, your neighbor with addiction. And they're going to be able to help provide you with information and resources on how to deal with it. I think it's a very important topic in our community as well as in many other communities. We're all affected by it one way or the other. One person's addiction affects the whole family, the whole community, and so on and so forth. So I'll be talking about this more as we come up closer to this date. I totally encourage everybody to attend it regardless. I think it's a very good meeting about addictions. Also, I had a great time with the group at the Rouge Palooza cleanup. We got down into the river. We did some cleaning. I want to let everyone know that the river is much cleaner. We did a lot of log jamming removal. I had a lot of fun, actually, and I think that we're seeing more progress done along our river that ribbons through our downtown. And I encourage others to join in with this effort. Progress is clearly being made for us down there. Also, I appreciate the comment about the bike pass and the correlation with that. And I would encourage you to contact the city of Ferndale, because in a presentation earlier this year in Lansing, they had a fantastic presentation about implication of bike path, accessories, and on and so forth. That is a model for southeastern Michigan, without a doubt.
Thank you.
And they would be glad to come here and do a presentation for us to enlighten us on some of the things that they came across and the challenges that they came with as well. So clearly, hands down, they had their act together when it came to that subject as well. And last but not least, how many more seconds?
38.
Thank you. Fireworks. I want to just wish everybody a happy 4th of July. More importantly, don't lose an eye over fireworks, or anything else for that matter. Use them safely. You be cognizant of your neighbors and the time that you're doing it. Enjoy your holiday. Have a safe holiday with the fireworks safely. And with that, I will wrap it up.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Porter, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll read fast. I want to start it off with something real neat here that I just found out last week. I want to say congratulations to the Westland Elite Cheer Team. It's a member of Champion Force Athletics, something I had never heard of. I looked it up online. It's pretty neat. The Westland Elite Team represents Westland and Wayne. The team has girls from Westland, Garden City, Belleville, Romulus, Ecorse. 4 or 5 girls are from Wayne. I noticed them doing their routines in the park right across the street, so that's how I came to find out about it. The Westland Elite Team will be heading to the national championships in Las Vegas in July, so they're good. Here's another example of youth today learning teamwork, athletics, and trust in each other. And I want to say thank you to their coaches who are examined, they're tested, they're certified in stunts and tumbling for the training these young ladies. So I think it's a great thing they're having. And Lenny touched on his thing, but since mostly it's the Powell family I see doing these, I've now nicknamed Team Powell. So from now on, when we refer to all these things that the Powell family are doing, it's Team Powell, please. Firefighters of Wayne had a community barbecue, as you all know. I'm told there was 200 attended. Boy, some of you really missed a nice show and nice socialization with your neighbors and the great firefighters that we have. Freshmen weren't bad either. Thank you, Wayne firefighters. And one last little note, and I told the city manager, she probably passed it on or not, whatever. I know she's busy. I want to thank the DPW for the patch job on the pavilion roof in Forest Park. Sort of went away on the last windy day, and they got up and patched it up for us so it didn't look quite so bad. So I want to say thank you to the DPW for all the work that they do. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Councilman Gabriel?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor.
Okay. And Councilman Racy?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to wish Vern a happy birthday. And then I too got to go to the picnic. That was great. And thank the fire department for everything they did with that. It was a fun time. And a week before that, we did, the mayor and I both were at Rouge, the Rouge cleanup, and also at Relay for Life, and a lot of residents were involved in that. And it was great to be able to be part of also Relay for Life and being there for residents that have either family that are fighting cancer right now or have lost a loved one. And if you have never been to a Relay for Life, I'd encourage you, when they do it next year, to be a part of that. Also noticed that in the last few weeks, I've been seeing more and more LED lights coming online, and very excited to see our city getting brightened up by that. That's really great. Also, Downtown Days, to mark your calendars, July 13th, 14th, and 15th. This is our traditional sidewalk sale, and there's a cruise that happens on the 15th through our city. But there's a lot more things happening that I remember in a long time, where businesses are getting together to do things. There also will be a concert on Friday night with Steve King and the Diddleys, and definitely come out for that. And there's going to be things online and in the local paper on activities that are going to be happening. But there's a lot of good stuff that weekend, and encouraged people to come to our community. And I would really like to see the community shine that weekend. The Wayne Rotary also announced their 2017 concert schedule. That the one thing was the Steve King and the Diddleys that they're doing on the 14th, but then on July 26th, there's a Toppermost Beatles tribute happening. On August 2nd, a band called War Machine, which is a Kiss tribute band in full makeup. August 9th, a band called Kung Fu Diesel, American rock and roll band, and they've toured with are open for many bands that you would know. August 16th is the Magic Bus Tour, which is a musical trip back to the Woodstock era. August 23rd is a fan favorite of your generation in concert, who's been to the community the last couple of years. They're considered, their tagline is that they're the world's greatest tribute band. And on August 30th, we have a band coming out of Cleveland, Ohio, called Dirty Deeds. It's Extreme AC/DC, which will be doing new and old AC/DC that evening. It should be a really, really good summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Got down in 3 minutes? Okay, all right. I would just like to say thank you to all the residents, for those that did come out and assist with the Rouge cleanup. And also, I would just like to remind everyone, when you're out walking, take a garbage bag with you, just a shopping bag. And if you walk your dog, please clean up after your dog. I mean, it's really disheartening, you walk along and you see where dogs have either gone on the sidewalk or on other people's grass. If you have a pet, clean up after it. It's good health. You're spreading disease and such if you're not cleaning up after your animals. So be a smart pet owner and respect other people's property as well. Also, I would just like to say, past 2 weekends have been very busy. There's been 3 and 4 events to go to, and this past Saturday, I led the 2-mile walk for the Healthy Wayne that is through Beaumont Hospital, and we had a 2-mile walk and then a 2/3 of a mile walk at Atwood Park, and we had a little over 30 people attend. Wayne Westland Schools was the sponsor of that walk, and it was fun and very enjoyable to see a lot of people that do use that trail. And we found a few new believers and joiners of our walking club, and they joined us along the way. So it was really hot and humid, but we stuck it out and did it. And then there was the picnic afterwards at the fire station, which was really a fun time for all. And just remember, 4th of July, as was stated, please be responsible. Remember, our neighborhoods are compact. And, if you've got a neighbor that has a dog or a baby, I know it gets dark later, but, okay, shoot fireworks off for 15 minutes or so. But, just be cognizant of the fact that we all live in this great city.
Or veterans.
Or, yes, and even veterans, yes, post-traumatic stress can really set some veterans off. So this is very important. So just be aware of your surroundings and be careful. Just be careful. I mean, a good example was just a few years ago, one of the newscasters for the weather. He was shooting fireworks off and he lost an eye. So it does happen. It happens to even, you would think very smart, capable people. Stuff happens, so just be aware of it and be careful and be safe. Enjoy your summer.
If I may,
And,
Mayor, just
yes.
remind everyone too, we do have a fireworks ordinance in
Yes.
place.
Yes.
So if they have questions about how it applies to you and the use, I think the fire department has some information with that regard, and I'm sure the police department would be happy to answer any questions about your ability to light them off and when you can do that as well.
We could even have the city manager
Share
put it
it.
on the website.
Just to re-remind
Yes.
everybody about
Yes.
the ordinance and that it does exist, so we don't have any confusion.
Yeah, okay. It's the day before, the day of, and the day after. Okay, so that's 3 days. Right. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
You can put that on Facebook, too.
Opposed? 9:35.